Hey guys, Austin Malleolo, James Hobart, breaking down the overhead squat today. We're gonna teach the overhead squat as if we were teaching to a class. It's one-on-one, but you can overlay this to your entire class, and we'll give you snippets on how you would do that for a group of, say, 10 or so. Now, we're gonna start with the PVC pipe, and that's what we would expect, as this is one of the most challenging lifts to teach not only one person, but multiple people. So, let's start with stance, grip, position. Start up, jump up and down a little bit for me there, James. Awesome, and relax. Now from here, we just want you to move your feet out to the right a little bit and to the left, and then toes out just a hair. Awesome. Now what I'm doing now as a coach is looking at the feet, trying to make sure most of the feet are shoulder width apart, slightly toed out. Knowing I'm gonna have to make some corrections, but hopefully most people are generally where you want them. Their movement will dictate changes later on. Now, once we're there, we have the stance, we need the grip. Very important aspect of this lift here. So with that PVC pipe, we're gonna have our athletes that are gonna be in a funky position. We'll have their hands, bring that bar right in front of your body, and now straighten the arms out nice and wide. Yeah, and now from here, we're gonna teach the pass through, okay? Now, almost have your athletes, bring your hands out as wide as you feel comfortable, because a little wider will make it easier to execute this. Now, utilizing those very specific words, with those arms straight, bring the bar up and overhead, and then by just relaxing the shoulders, bring the bar to your butt. Yeah, and then bring it back in front of you. Now, a few things here as a coach. We start to actually train that body position, midline stabilization. While you do this pass through, pull your belly button to your spine, squeeze your butt, and pass through. Yeah, also keeping those arms nice and straight the whole time. Now, while we do this, if that's easy, bring those hands in closer and closer. And we can do this across 10 repetitions until we get to that sticky point. Once we get to that sticky point, for the most part, we're where we need to be. As a coach, I'm keeping an eye on the midline as well as the arms to see if we're doing anything funky. And if there are people that are struggling, those are the people you're gonna spend some time on. For those Gumby athletes, you make sure they don't come too close. Again, making sure that bar is just about at that belt line is right where we wanna be, generally speaking. Now that we have the body position and the grip, we now need to figure out how to get the bar in its proper position overhead. Now from here, we're gonna say bring the bar to that behind the neck position, almost as if you're doing a high bar back squat. Most people won't know what that is, so make sure you show them as a coach. And you wanna push it right up onto that part of the neck where you'd actually never want to put a bar. Now, keeping the grip nice and strong, we're gonna cue the athletes, bring your elbows forward. So your elbows are directly underneath that bar. Again, making sure the feet are good, check. Midline, good, check. Elbows facing the ground. That's going to be a non-negotiable. Now, from here, you're gonna give your athlete a cue to slowly press the bar up the back of the head and continually press up. Now, while they do this, you are looking for armpits forward, elbows down. And now the bar is for the most part in the right position. And now your verbal cue will be to press up as hard as possible, teaching the active shoulder. You can get tactile by pressing down or pressing up. If we can't touch, just get very active in your voice and relax. This is an important pause as a coach to know that relentlessness and empathy come into play here. It's an exhausting position to keep your athletes in if they're in a right position. So having them relax once you demand a lot from them will be important. Bringing your athletes back to this position where James is now is nice because it allows you to set up for that next rep by saying, all right, now stance, grip, and position, elbows forward, and press the bar overhead, and you're checking to see if there's anything funky, if they turn those armpits down. Now at this point, right, not only that, we have to clean up the facial expression, but we also want them to turn the armpits forward by doing, if you can say, bring your elbow pits forward, you can say, screw in the light bulb, all sorts of cues. The reality is, everyone can get into this position for the most part at the top and relax. Now, we need to spend most of our time here. Do not let anybody squat until you've corrected, refined, or give positive reinforcement to those that are in good positions. That's important because once we squat, it's only gonna get harder. Now, for the execution of the movement, the focus is really gonna be on keeping that bar in a straight line and the active shoulder. Most of us know that if overhead squatted, that bar's gonna wanna go forward. So we wanna give our athletes an action cue. As they squat down, they need to do two things. You're gonna press up and pull back. And you might exaggerate a little bit, some athletes, and that's all right. And as they squat down, you're gonna say press up and pull back the whole time and stand and relax. And you, as a coach, are going to be looking profile. That's what you guys are looking at. I won't move, but you behind the camera, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at that bar to make sure it travels straight up and straight down. And stand and relax. Now, many of us struggle with the athletes in the tight shoulder club. Something we can start to understand is that internal rotation of the shoulder is okay, certainly at that PVC pipe level. And what we mean by that is if our athletes are saying, I can't do it, aka that bar is so far forward, and you say pull back and they can't do it, and stand and relax. A nice drill is get them up to the top, widen their hands out, and ask them to do some pass-throughs. And if they can do pass-throughs, we can pull the bar back. And we can still press up, so we can have an active shoulder. It just might not be as externally rotated as you might like. So as we go down, if that bar comes forward a little bit, we say pause, and now we can just say pull that bar back just like a pass-through and continually squat down. But we can still say press up, even if that shoulder's a little bit internally rotated, and stand and relax. So again, those are some things to play with during that overhead squat. You don't need a lot of weight, if any at all. Specifically, those that struggle with the movement, a stimulus and therefore an adaptation will be achieved. As you can tell, we're in a full sweat with a very competent athlete. So don't sleep on the PVC pipe in good positioning. Have fun and work hard.